And we are live. Welcome everyone to tonight's news, IT news and bits live stream here from our headquarters on our increasingly successful YouTube channel. Welcome everyone. Also when you tune in later in the archived on demand library there. And while we wait for some people to tune in, our videos of this week, actually quite many. Not only did we travel with the cheapest train in Germany for $9.99 to Hanover, unpacked a IBM RS6000 PowerPC from the attic, made some well-liked and successful YouTube videos about those experience from back in the day. And what else was this week? So 1 week and 2 years. So then some Debian people were a little bit negative as usual to us. We took a closer look to the Cherry MX, which turned out, by the way, I did not realize that this actually was MY this year, so this probably also explains why this is so mushy. Only someone in the audience noticed this. Actually did not even know that this exists. So much to the more you know and the more you test. And then here on further news, yes, right to repair, we had to share our 2 cents to some, in my opinion, quite dangerous argument there that we should not leave standing like this, and the right to repair community should actually not even put into Apple's mouth. We took a closer look to the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless thing there, because that apparently might not be the most amazing experience according to my short look and people on Amazon, as well as sharing that I became the PDF raster ISO project leader. The more you know, the more you work in the industry. And we took a closer look to Back to the Future, actually the past in 1999. Rock Linux from back in the day, how that experience was. Also on the secondary More Live channel, just in case you were more interested in these topics. But this brings us to the first live members in the audience. Welcome, De Graver. Welcome to this week's IT news and bits tonight here, live on YouTube. And actually quite some stuff to discuss. I actually wanted to make a Samsung Galaxy Fold video independently. Of course, we are not yet a million subscriber YouTubers, so we did not get any review unit there, no surprise there. And if already not even Linus from Tech Tips gets one there. But what I wanted to say is, so unfortunately now they are breaking already for some people, but again, this is not first-hand experience. I did not have it in my hands, but not a very big surprise there for everyone in the audience. If you fold an OLED display here, of course we are cheapskates, we only have a Galaxy S10e, so if you fold something like this with a flexible display, no surprise that this can break. And to Samsung's credits, not only is this of course a novel design, not like Apple, who only take features away, rack up the price, call it a day, and peak bugs in macOS. Samsung at least tries something new and innovates. And I also understand the price point, €2,000. Yes, it's not for everyone and probably not for a cheapskate like myself, but at least kudos for trying something innovative. And by the way, something is burning here, the Mac Mini. Of course, it's the web content, because web in, yeah, this comes from having a handful of tabs open in Firefox, probably also Rust code and Node.js fighting with each other. But what do I know? As long as we don't have drop frames over our SSH tunnel, then so be it. And maybe I could cook coffee on the Mac Mini. But back to this topic. So some reviewers apparently removed some protection film, even Samsung credits, even the S10 here come with actually not on the main camera, probably still need a camera assistant. So even those here come with this protective film pre-installed here, and some reviewers apparently removed this from the Galaxy Fold or Samsung Fold or whatever. So even this, as you see, by the way, I have the first scratch here, at least on the film protector. So here is some very small bubble in case this might or might not focus. And yeah, but this is only the protection layer. This probably does not focus because we are live on YouTube. Then of course it doesn't focus. Anyway, point is, Samsung is so nice to install a screen protector quite well that you otherwise at other third parties would need to buy. And also in this fold, it turns out that some units, maybe the more to end user shipping quality, were shipped with a mark, not to remove this, as this is protection layer apparently is part of the display assembly, their permanent protection film, so not to be removed, what you might make out there on this photo or so. And yeah, so much to always peeling. Actually, by the way, I usually keep my protection film even on like printers. When it comes with some soft film there, I usually keep it on there for 2 years or 3 until it really falls off from wind here in the office or something. Then at least the devices look nearly new even after 3 years. Don't know why all people always need to peel everything off, but whatever. It doesn't surprise me. So comments and audience, Dave. The die that is obvious going to be brittle with and has broken quickly here. Exactly what I said. However, still kudos to Samsung that they at least innovate, and I also understand the price point. If a flagship phone here like the S10 family is 600 something, then obviously something state of the art, twice as large state of the art, needs to cost a little bit. And also to our vintage series here and videos we made about this, by the way, quite well running video. Each day 180 people or so watch this Sony Vario P. And what I wanted to say is, if you factor into account that this Fold is actually a tablet and a smartphone, it is not that expensive. If you take an iPhone and an iPad, you pay maybe more. The question, however, is, so if you use this as a SSH terminal, then this might actually be quite usable for high-tech people like us. Of course, most people only play something like Fruit Ninja or Super Mario Go or some silly nonsense like this. But if you really use this to work on the go, I wonder, well, I will test this here. I've still not really used it that much. I will probably come back with realizing this is not as usable because the display is so small, but maybe for Emacs, email, like text email and such, and server maintenance over SSH. But anyway, leave me in the comments below what you find more usable. Though to be fair, the Samsung Fold is more compact than this, and also to be fair, although this might be slightly cheaper than an iPhone and an iPad, it might also break. And actually, when you can compare this, if you buy an entry-level netbook like subcompact something from Lenovo, you get of course an outstanding even entry-level laptop thing for 500 euro or dollar or something. So then it's the question, is it really worth to have this foldable thing with you? Yes, it is more compact than a ThinkPad and you can fit into a pocket, but yeah, tell me what you think. Maybe for 1,000 euro next year, second generation. By the way, cheapskate, as we are here, we will of course wait for the second generation and the price of technology to mature and the price to come down. And then but still, the problem is, and I will make a dedicated video about this, the problem is it really worth to spend so much on these gadgets that are not full computers, because you can only run apps and not something full-featured as your own Linux on here. So yeah, maybe still overpriced, certainly, even for 1,000. I mean, the fun fact, and I will make a dedicated video about this the next week or something, if you compare this modern smart devices, which are actually not that smart, but if you compare this and compare this to a laptop, you get, for the price of an iPhone, you get 2 Lenovo ThinkPads. And you are more productive. I mean, what can you do on an iPhone? You can, even on a Samsung Galaxy, you can only do so much. Can you comfortably maintain your server with this? You can consume videos and Twitter and Instagram and answer an email. And even email, I have to say, I type 10 times faster on a mechanical keyboard than on this modern, not so smart stuff. But tell me in the comments. So yeah, the stuff is breaking, no surprise there, also not for myself, but just that you are aware before you press the purchase button there. And yeah, it is breaking news, we had to cover it. And anyway, in other news, if you don't want to spend 2,000 euro, I actually came over this PinePhone here. Maybe someone mentioned it already in another comment, but this is maybe something, maybe I pulled the trigger here on upgrading from the iPhone 6s or whatever I had, because headphone jack, right? Was it a mistake to upgrade already because PinePhone? And this is certainly amazing for do-it-yourself tinkerers like ourselves here. If you can do their more do-it-yourself stuff, run your own Linux, maybe not yet really researched this. They just announced this in FOSDEM 2019, so we are not really that late, only 2 months here to that news. No idea where else you have read it already. And otherwise, it is supposed to be cheap. I think, yeah, 150 US dollar, if this is really true and comes out to be like that. Time will show, but otherwise, yeah, it looks like it will be cheap. If it is like this, certainly something nice to play around. It even has a headphone jack. Can you believe for 150 bucks they can even build in a headphone jack that we all, hopefully all of you agree, like so much. Somali, so this means here there is probably some halfway decent working open source graphic for this. And yeah, apparently not full HD, but for 150 bucks, certainly a nice, hopefully open source phone to have there. Welcome the Dart, welcome everyone in the audience. And leave us in the comments below what you think about this. But for 150 bucks, you can even get 4 for the price of a Samsung Galaxy flagship phone here. And this also brings the price more in perspective. Again, I will make a dedicated video, but if you compare the 600, 700 something, you get a decent ThinkPad for that. Just to point this out here for people to think about when they shared out so much hard-earned green paper back there to smart or not so smart, whatever devices. Although our Mac Mini is overheating with this new thermal paste, which you also recently applied. 0 drop frames thanks to our OpenSSH tunnel to the data center, because otherwise cable internet can't do YouTube live streaming. It's also global warming today in Berlin, 22 degrees. Need to hydrate. Not a paid advertisement. So, comments in the audience, I didn't know about this phone. Looks very interesting. Yeah, cheap. It is from Pine. It's probably, I would guess, this is here Pine 64. And so this is a company who's also doing the Pine 64. And probably, I think Christian said they also have a laptop. We could actually quickly Google that, Pine 64 laptop or something. So usually this is a PCB like a Raspberry Pi or something. And here's apparently also a 14-inch Pinebook, although I think Christian said here, otherwise in the audience usually with us, that it is, as usual with this kind of crowd-funded or internationally shipping stuff, if you order this from the rest of the world, then you have to deal with customs. So if you buy this, you might need to pay local VAT and customs, so then $99.99 laptop. Is this, by the way, complete with everything? Or, but yeah, in any case, a really nice machine and dirt cheap, obviously, of course, not state-of-the-art hardware in terms of performance. Display might even be a TN, so this display I personally would not like the most, but at least it's dirt cheap. I mean, TN, like, I mean, so far technology has come, right? Back in the day, TN, I have it on the next desk, the MacBook we recently had in our hands and where we hacked the battery, in case you want to watch this movie video, then even the Apple laptops, even until recently, the MacBook Air still had TN displays, so probably they sell it like after even Apple stopped selling this outdated, antiquated technology, thin film, twisted something there, this not non-IPS, not as angle stable and so on, vibrant and whatnot display technology. Yeah, also not the most high resolution. I mean, this is basically, I wonder, is this a MacBook Air display of but anyway, just in case you wondered how much Apple overcharged you for the MacBook Air. So 2 gigs of memory, so this is some more MacBook Air territory, so not the most outstanding, but again, dirt cheap for your tinkering. And this should be Cortex A, yeah, 64-bit quad-core ARM for your Linux tinkering. Needs certainly nice to have. Then German, but I will translate on the fly, you don't need to worry. We had this unfortunate of our allegedly bribed and decently paid by lobbyists politicians there in the EU voting for this internet copyright nonsense instead of reforming this and adapting this to a more digital world where we might have a meme or a fair use quote in a video. No, YouTube should block videos even more, and this is of course just what should happen with upload filters and whatnot, because we need internet like in China where all the companies and government censors all of our stuff left and right. And yeah, totally not supporting this. We made a protest video just for the sake of it. And of course, and by the way, some politicians, even Germans, you wonder what is the intelligence level of politicians. Apparently not so high, because even some of our German ones, but also Sweden and wherever, from the socialist parties there, they voted wrong, because apparently it is super difficult to raise your vote there. You probably need an IQ over 75 or something, or maybe even only higher than 50. Apparently they vote for so many things in the European Parliament that it is very difficult to keep track of what you're actually voting for, even though people there might call out, are you really sure? There might be some chaos and question in the audience. Are you all aware of what we are voting for? Apparently not. And so some politicians even reversed their vote in the protocol, which I did not even know is possible, and what I also did not know. On top, I would expect, if people already changed their vote, that this vote is counted differently, but no, they changed the vote for the protocol without any actual outcome. So if they would have all voted how they allegedly wanted, without correcting it in the protocol, we would not have this law like it is, and it would have gone at least another round for discussion. And of course, our otherwise similar fellow German politicians there in the next house there of the European Parliament voted again for that, although our dual German politicians there currently in the coalition were not agreeing on each other there, and still they had to vote for yes, because apparently that is what allegedly bribed very well and paid by lobbyist politicians apparently do. And yep, so we got this crap law here, because that is what politicians do, one crap law after another, because why should something become... By the way, after so many 100 years of education and such, why do we not have people more clever there, thinking a little bit more through what they're doing? But we digress. So of course, after this amazing law, the German VG, Verwaltungsgesellschaft Media, some union there of publishing houses, sends Google the first invoice, because it is apparently do what you do exactly after this kind of voting. And guess how much money they ask for Google? Of course, they ask for apparently billions. Let's check exactly how many billions they want. So they want for even for the past years, from 1st August 2013 to the 31st December of 2018, they ask for 1.24 billion euro, because apparently this is what their new... I mean, the people don't buy newspaper because they are tired of this stuff, especially about old, antiquated, old-fashioned dead trees in their hands. And the companies, this is of course totally ridiculous. They get free promotion from Google. And if I would Google, I would just blacklist them all and not show them in the search anymore, because apparently that is what they are asking for. Not mean theoretically, I wonder if Google should invoice them more for free promotion there. But this is exactly that what we... I mean, not only I don't care about these publishing houses, but because they can all die for not innovating in the digital area and not finding even a business model to charge a few bucks a month for proper digital newspaper. And all this ads, by the way, driven stuff here. But what I worry more is about the free internet and free speech and fair use. And this, as far as I understood, this really stupid law does not really account for fair use. And this is actually what I wonder, that we can operate websites and blogs and YouTube channels without worry. Even, I mean, even today, even my videos, I make a video and sometimes they randomly get blacklisted for not being suitable for monetization, because this is exactly what's amazing artificial intelligence is doing. And by the way, one we have comments in the audience, maybe people comment this is madness, besides they like GPIO with laptops, yes. And then they write, I could tell you all about working as a freelancer for the government, everything is broken. Yeah, my impression, just look to our amazing airport that never gets finished. And by the way, not only that our amazing airport in Berlin that is overdue like for 10 years soon, they even had a vote because here was a referendum here in Berlin for keeping the second airport open that the government wants to sell for other random nonsense. And many people think a capital of Germany needs 2 airports, also in case of the second could be smaller, but you know, there can always be a terrorist threat, bomb threat, an accident. Even recently the government plane, also even our government planes don't fly reliably, they constantly have issues because apparently the government and the military can't even service the government planes, apparently, obviously. And it was here for service in Berlin, one of the government planes which constantly has issues, defects and whatnot. Often every month it is in the newspaper that they can't take off or land somewhere because broken airplane. And it even had to emergency land. It took off after service. It had service here, the plane, at this airport that never finishes. And then they immediately had to land. They even touched on with both wings, left and right, they touched on the ground. Probably, I guess, something not working properly in their fly-by-wire whatsoever assistance system, that they have such unstable flight that both sides of the wings scratched there on the runway. So much to that. Amazing, you had one job and even that. So anyway, and then even right now we still have 2 airports because the second airport is operating as long as the other new airport is not open. And just to recollect here what the government cannot get into operation. And just then flights were cancelled, even with the government plane after service, emergency landing, and the airport had 3 hours chaos. And exactly this is why we need 2 airports. But we had a referendum and 55% or something like this voted. Even the people living in the area voted for keeping the airport open because they fear more gentrification, increased rents. So even the people, not that the people living there would say, finally close the airport because we want more silence and less noise. Even they want the airport open because they fear drastically increasing rents. So much to that. Well done, politicians. And basically, unlike the Brexit, the politicians here say we give a shit about this referendum, we just do with the airport whatever we and our lobbyist and maybe allegedly bribes paying off there. So whatever, we will see what happens with our amazing airports here. Maybe when I'm 100 they open the airport or something. Comments in the audience, back to Goofer, then the EU is cracking down on tech center for, and by the way, and then the politicians wonder that we don't have a thriving startup scene in Europe. Yes, if you regulate each bullshit and regulate the internet so much, and by the way, I'm not for piracy and I'm not for pirating movies, but you can make individual court cases, which was already possible the last 100 years, and if you catch someone running a private piracy site, you go after this individual and not make all the internet pre-filtered like in China. But anyway, so what else do we have in the comments? Never make the barrier entry high enough. And by the way, one of the apparently, as far as I see, at least obviously most stupid politicians there from our right-wing kind of, what is the right term for this? Politicians even said, yeah, then you just program some artificial intelligence that is recognizing comedy from one-to-one copied privacy. You know what? Those politicians should better stop being politician and try to write this artificial intelligence to classify fair use parody from actual copied one-to-one copied material. Good luck with that. The politicians think it is so easy. And then how should a new company establish business in Europe? Let's imagine you or me we want to do here some startup, and first we need, not only do we need to write the whole product, like let's say we make a search engine or video or sound, audio, whatever, podcasting with comments and whatnot. And not only do we need to spend all the time to actually implementing this, then we need to spend 10 times the time for upload filters, because of course the politicians say think it is super easy. We just sit there one weekend and we have an upload filter. Well done. Maybe they should actually go to school and learn something. And working for major IT service providers for our government one time, organ donor logistic infrastructure. I think I better stop reading about organ donor in logistics infrastructure, save power by shutting down machines in the office over the weekend, and they applied it wrong. They used a single domain for clients and infrastructure. Yeah, well done. And I recently had we had here some also government with exact scan, and we recommended some scanner, knowing they don't want to spend more money. We recommended them some cheap entry-level scanners that would have been enough for scanning their election paper stuff they wanted to scan. And what do? 3 weeks later they brought another scanner. They brought a Fujitsu ScanSnap, I can say this, because not a paid advertisement, because this scanner is so crappy. Everyone buys this Fujitsu ScanSnap, and it doesn't come with a train driver. It's literally the nearly only scanner on the market without a train driver. So they literally, instead of buying any other scanner that would work, for example the one we recommended that was cheap, not at us because we don't even want to sell so many scanners, they are so clever choosing the literally nearly only scanner on the market that doesn't even come with a train driver, that doesn't even work with other third-party Windows software. On Mac it even works with our exact scan because we have our own driver. Just on Windows we rely on the vendor driver, because usually 99% of the scanners work on Windows with a train driver, just not this one. So the government is so clever, even purchasing the only one single scanner on the market that doesn't work for them. Well done. Yep. Then jailbreaking, speaking about piracy. Jailbreaking, if you want to have fun with your Subaru Starlink, you can follow this jailbreaking article about QNX, because microkernel. And actually, probably I should have actually opened this here earlier. I took a look on our Mini. We have a Mini Countryman that also comes with QNX. And I have not yet further analyzed this, but I once took a software update here in pieces, because unfortunately there was only one software update for this. Also, thank you very much car companies for having like literally one software update in a decade. Well done. But it is QNX, so I took this here apart, and this was already quite some years ago before I started this YouTubing. Of course, the next time we will do it live on YouTube, and maybe another day. Of course, right now I still drive this car because we are cheapskates. We drive cars 7 years or maybe even longer. So this was already 2014. And you see a nice SO files here for phone and MME, multimedia, something extension or whatnot, and whatever other stuff. So just if you wondered, and I wish, by the way, this would be more do-it-yourself possible. I would love to install some custom apps and tweak some things, because some things are really annoying in this thing. It would also in general be really nice if you have other parts of your car, you can just tune the engine. But with software, maybe as the software industry as a whole, we should work somehow in the way that this is not so fixed, but can be more flexibly altered and do it yourself, just like regular mechanical engines. And for example, a house, you can just tear down a wall, install a window in your house, or a new door with this entertainment systems. This is somehow not so easy, and before you argue, but for the security, first of all, if you tune your engine, it can also blow up. And in my opinion, if you know what you're doing, it should, in my opinion, be easier to change the things, especially small things that annoy you. So here's a really nice write-up, and as usual, I will post this news here. And Third says he can Mazda. Yeah, I read this. I think Mazda MX-5 is running Linux. Just so some Mazda, I knew this already. Good point. This is why this live stream is also nice, especially the news ones, to directly share comments with the audience. And yeah, I read about this. Not sure how many Mazdas and how many, but there, for example, you can easily change the background. For example, if the background, the picture pisses you off, or you just want to look cool, you can just upload your own background picture and stuff like this. And in my opinion, if you buy a 100,000 euro Mercedes, Tesla, Volkswagen, or not as expensive MX-5, which is nonetheless certainly way more fun to drive. Shameless plug, I tested it, yes, was fun to drive. And yeah, this kind of things, why not change the background picture, why not change the, if you think the scroll bar looks shitty, why not change the bitmap for the scroller or some title line, if this is some marble old-fashioned 2D embossing nonsense there, why not update the picture for the things like this. And not sure what you have, if you have an MX-5. Let's open this link though. This is just a generic to shortly show this here also. And yeah, firmware, whatever, said something. Anyway, so here, just the fun stuff, the more you know. And maybe Tesla also runs Linux, I guess, probably maybe for more tinkering of a Tesla. I don't have one, but you can watch Uncle Rich there on his Rich Rebuilds channel, or what the name was, for messing with flooded Teslas and dropping the MCU and breaking displays and getting electroshocks and the fun stuff people do live on YouTube these days. So, more comments in the audience. I really don't like that all this computer tech in a car. If it's driver destruction, it has been shown be hacked to take control. Yeah, you can often, even what many people don't know, I intentionally did not get this remote key because you can forward them with very simple radio frequency technology. So most of them are crackable with just forwarding this RF stuff. One gangster goes into the supermarket, RF radio frequency forwards this with walkie-talkie like to the other person, and the car opens, and then you drive away. And this is what most people probably don't realize. I don't need this fancy remote stuff. I have a completely old-fashioned electronic thing there, electronic key fob opening thing, but even this I theoretically do not really need so much. And I also wonder, and by the way, if you watch this famous car YouTubers, they're constantly going something wrong. What even here, this fancy Porsche YouTubers, there's one Porsche YouTuber there in the States, this Kiwi there, Nick Murray or so, is he had already 2 Porsche. I mean, probably as German I shouldn't say this, probably the most amazing cars. And oh, by the way, I did say recently, let me test drive too. But anyway, I hope they don't watch our IT news there at Porsche. And so he had 2 Porsches, purchased them new, 2 911s, and after 2 years both had so many defects of electric gremlins. Also, granted, he drove them in the snow and was power sliding there in the salt crust, which probably I would not do with my Porsche if I would have one. I don't even usually do with my Mini Countryman, which I right now do not even have in Berlin because don't need car here. I walk to the office and that's fine, good for the environment. And I keep my, so the Tart says he keeps his key in a grounded metal box, and one car stolen due to this method. Yeah, exactly. And this is also why if I get a new fancy car, which probably I don't really need. By the way, speaking about cars, I have an amazing, so by the way, we were at car hacking, so QNX, if you want to take a look in this, and maybe because I certainly don't want to destroy my car, I would have been more interested to poking there around, and this is what you want to share, like, and subscribe for me to, in the future, disassemble Mini Countryman MCU here and poke around in QNX, because this is also fun stuff that is potentially on the horizon to do here. And for this, however, I will probably rather buy a used one from eBay and not destroy my one in the car, because otherwise I might not be able to drive anymore, or at least have no radio and navigation. And if you are looking into fun car videos, we also have some fun car videos, which, by the way, fun fact, I don't probably do many more car videos because I can't do this with my consciousness here of Friday for Future and our one livable planet that we are currently destroying a little bit. But the one thing I will say, I mean, besides, if you want to watch me drive Porsche, you can do this. I have a Porsche 911 and Porsche Macan video, which, by the way, were not mine, and I don't have one for environmental reasons. However, one fun stuff, which is more the do-it-yourself topic here, is the point that you don't need to have a luxury Porsche to have fun. My father built a Beetle-based buggy in 1976, and now we have amazing Netflix advertisement here running. And honestly, you can not only get such a car for 5 a not as amazing version for 5,000 and an amazing version for 10,000 maybe, and everything mechanic, no electric gremlins, at least unless some cable falls off from your starter switch or starter or stuff like this. And in my opinion, much more fun to drive than a modern Porsche or Tesla. And my car, comments in the audience, diesel, but it keeps on working and it's cheap to run. Other these things braking. Yep, so more adventures in reverse engineering, because this is the kind of news we are here for. By the way, the Mac Mini fan gets crazy over there. So much to running 10 tabs in Firefox, Rust in Node.js, you name it. And hydration. So reverse engineering MIPS. Here's this Broadcom NIC firmware. You know, our Broadcom TG3 is also a piece of crap here and constantly acting up. And I have here already an SSH tunnel running for circumventing cable internet, losing all our UDP packets. And reverse engineering, here's NIC firmware BCM 5719. If you're into this is MIPS CPU based. And someone has here a really nice write-up of reverse engineering this. And yes, probably something you want to take a look if you're interested in clean room reverse engineering here, which, by the way, why is here Raptor Power 9? And once this is delivered, it will be possible to use the Raptor's Power 9 systems with pure. Okay. So this is probably the remote management thing there, I guess. Let's see, time now, reverse engineering the firmware of the open source. Wait a second, it can be used with the TG3. This is actually the piece of shit driver we are using here. And it's approximately the 12th generation chipset, so this means that the TG3 has a MIPS CPU in there. Anyway, I really wonder why in 2019 I always thought this TG3 a little bit higher quality. I think even some microsystems machines maybe had this, if I recall correctly. And the Mac Mini that we are live streaming from has it, and for the recurring audience, they know what hard times this gives me, often acting up and crashing there in whatever way, I don't know. What actually funnily enough helps is taking the interface down, if config eth0 down, killing DHCP TD and starting it up again, then it usually works. I think after, so this is why to YouTube live stream, what I have as a workaround is I flood ping Google. First of all, I usually use the machine a little bit, so some megabytes already went out, then I flood ping Google, then I take the interface down and take it up again, and then usually I don't have, since I do this, no hiccup anymore. This of course resets that in 2019 we have Ethernet drivers in Linux after decades of work that are acting up like this. I really wonder how other people work like this. I'm not really sure if this is a Mac Mini thing, probably not, but even the Mac Mini sold huge quantities. Probably many people use it with Linux also, especially after phasing them out, after a couple of years or something, getting them used on eBay or stuff. And do you see link regression on your DMASC? See the speed to something fixed? That's no, I don't see this. So usually I have here, probably don't have this in, do I have this in Warlock messages? Sometimes I see IOMMU thing messages, but this is probably unrelated. This would be TG3. Let's see, I sometimes, not always, sometimes I get there a huge printout of state that is corrupted, wherever that could be. Of course, only on my live stream, putting all my MAC addresses and hardware configuration out in the open, but whatever, here's one of those reoccurrences here, so only, this is why you obviously follow us here for the most technical details and in-depth analysis. And yeah, this is what I sometimes get, not always. Sometimes it just stops working, and sometimes I get this strange oops printout of internal state stuff. So transmit timeout resetting. And so here, what do we have here? This is already the second one apparently. So this is what I usually get. What is this? So this is QDisk put unlock. Is this oops already related to? Yeah, here is only, you see, link is up, blah, blah, blah. And then blah, blah, bound to, and then, no, I think not. And then I just get here netdev watchdog eth0 tg3 transmit q0 timed out. And then here apparently some whatever printout this is. This is a regular oops, of course. I hope we have it here full on the audience. And the problem is it's not resetting automatically, so the YouTube live stream dies. If this happens in the middle of a YouTube live stream, it is dead on arrival and will not reset magically. So this is why. And the fun fact is, I really wonder a little bit, this for me so far, and by the way, this live stream thanks to my SSH tunnel through the data center, here Cheapskate's VPN, and yes, I will upgrade this technology to something more VPN technology another day. So since then, you see the difference. If we would stream directly over cable here, 500 Mbit down, 50 Mbit up, we would for sure have 1000 drops frames, usually maybe 5 if not 10% drop frames. And thanks to our SSH tunnel, so much to amazing infrastructure technology, all this what is it, RTSP or something, real-time stream protocol, I guess, RTMP, all the UDP packets getting lost there in UDP because infrastructure cable, and simply tunneling this through a TCP SSH VPN to our data center fixes this here. So everything is going out through there directly to YouTube, and 0 drop frames. This is not always, this is not a 100% reliable technique here. Sometimes I still have maybe 100 frames, which is still 0.5% or something. So still an improvement of at least 10 times or something. And like right now, the improvement is of course infinite from thousands to 0, division by 0. And yeah, so then here this, what is this here? The oops, and then comes Schmidt. What is this here? Resetting whatever this is here. Is this some internal state? I don't know what this is. Looks a little bit whatever internal state of the TG3 or whatever that is. Just that you know that I don't make this up. This is just the stuff we have to deal here in 2019. Stuff is still not amazing. So yeah, if you are interested in this probably, as they write your Raptors, I'm pretty sure this means this remote management thing there. I would assume, Nick, whatever, you can read the details. I will post the link to this. It's dev whatever, net something, whatever. I post the link. Next news, otherwise this live stream gets too long as usual. This is a fun post, thanks to, of course, Fefe here. Felix von Leitner has amazing German post, of course, of daily IT ranting. Shouting, giving here a shout out wherever it is due. Not want to say here that I found this amazing post myself. Thanks for bringing it up. And so this is here on the Microsoft Tech community blog post here, and the perils of using Internet Explorer, just that you are aware of what you are using in case you're using Windows somewhere. And this is here some long, by the way, this is of course updated probably due to Fefe and some other tech vlogs. It got here quite some noise, and so they already had to put some additional statements there. But here's blah 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 for some time, consumers this and this, creating blah blah blah. But what's and Internet Explorer this and compatibility and yada yada yada. But what is the most important and outstanding is here that they write here themselves, and this is probably why they had to put this update on there. You see, Internet Explorer is a compatibility solution. We are not supporting new web standards for it, and while many sites work fine, developers by any large just aren't testing for Internet Explorer these days. They are testing with modern browsers. So Internet Explorer is not a modern browser. By the way, does this mean Edge or not? I'm slightly confused. Does there access Internet Explorer on Edge or whatever? But just that you are aware that Microsoft themselves say this is not a modern browser, that is a compatibility solution, and you probably better don't want to use it. I hope this also applies to Edge. But actually, honestly, in all pun intended and funny anecdote here of Microsoft writing about their own amazing products in 2019. So honestly, or at least they are more honest than Peakbugs, Apple, macOS, and yeah, the much fun as it is and the much Microsoft deserves this, the current trend of having just Chrome and everyone playing catch up, and most people only developing for their own one WebKit meaning Safari and Chrome obviously, and Safari certainly due to iOS market share. Yeah, really sad. And yeah, set in the way that we need more competition, because I'm completely not thrilled by the Firefox performance. This is a theoretically 8-thread quad-core. Yes, it is slightly aging, Core i7 here in the Mac Mini, but even if I plug, this is my portable SSD that I can plug in wherever. And the only thing is, okay, it is not optimized for AVX or something, it is optimized for Core 2 Duo, because I said it already, I want to plug it in here wherever, even old Macs and stuff like this. And I don't think that the browser will become that much faster with AVX optimizations enabled. But yes, it is not super percently the most hyper optimized, but in my opinion, also the fans go crazy. The Firefox here is literally, with all the tabs open and all the advertisement animated GIFs they are running in the background, it is using more. Look at this, 103, you can't make this shit up. I have not artificially run, there's some crap in the background. These are just the tabs I opened for this news, and this is literally consuming 92% for this web content, 35% for this web content, and okay, there is this chat running, but not playing the video. So all of this consumes significantly magnitudes more CPU cycles than OBS, encoding not only the screen capture, but the camera capture. By the way, I could check if we are even showing it, and we are actually even showing it. So this is ridiculous in my opinion, and which I also make the vintage videos, and also think about writing a microkernel, and have installed Rock Linux here. If you're interested in this, our Linux from 20 years ago, how fast this is. And yes, it's blazing fast, compiling in a snap, binutils in 30 seconds, and even GCC in just 2 minutes or some amazing, even the X server just in, I don't know, 3 minutes or something. There you see how bloated our modern software came, and you see it here. Why does this web content consume 111% plus whatever is here adding up? If it is doing nothing, it is only supposed to show a static content, even if there's some animated GIF. But there you see also the websites. It might not be entirely the fault of Firefox. It is of course also the websites that nowadays use 20 frameworks and nothing is optimized, and for each maybe some developer makes here some scroller, and just for this scroller here at the side they include one huge megabyte sized framework, and then another developer comes and makes here some infinite scrolling, and they include the next megabyte sized 20 JavaScript files and whatnot framework. And this is really just set, and why I decided also to make this YouTube videos to point things out like this, because otherwise I don't see really where we are going. In my opinion, I cannot be more productive. For the most part, I'm not more productive with a modern 8-core or even 8-core Ryzen or 4-core quad-core Core i7, even with 32 gigs of memory there in the Ryzen. Where are you more productive? In the modern, I still wait often, especially if I search some stuff somewhere. Even for example, the new YouTube Creator Studio. You have maybe seen me videos closing the new Creator Studio. This is stock slow. I have no idea. Maybe it is only snappy in Chrome. Obviously, this is ridiculous. That the old YouTube Creator Studio is already. I think there were articles on the web that called out that Google is using there some special features only optimized and working in Chrome or something, and the old Creator Studio is at the border of being usable on a quad-core i7 over a 500 Mbit cable connection, and the new Creator Studio is dog slow. It is loading so slow that Firefox will even show an indication that the website is not responding if you still want to load it. This is ridiculous in my opinion, and this is what we also want to share our 2 cents of an opinion, that people maybe start to think more about this and stop clobbering everything together that they find left and right. And yeah, let's see comments in the audience. Internet Explorer is another browser. Okay, I maybe should use Windows sometimes. And Firefox Linux has most, if not all, hardware solution disabled by default. Yes, this is really sad. They can be enabled in about config. I probably should try this another day. And Detard says, annoys me each day how can a glorified document viewer consume more resources than anything else in the OS. And yeah, this is really sad. Even on Mac OS, it's not. I have to say, although how much I call out Apple for peak bugs, I obviously still use it for our other Mac products and whatnot. Although you have seen, I probably in the meantime I migrated. The fun fact is 1998 I used Linux 100%. Through all my university, I never used Windows. I used Linux 100%. I've even thrown the Mac OS CDs into the trash for my iBook. I only used it with Linux. and only for this accidentally commercially successful exact scan and later OCR kit, I turned to the desktop. And even then, still not like others who abandoned their open source project, I kept maintaining T2 not only for embedded stuff and server stuff, even most of the desktop except brackets, not KDE and GNOME, because this is too much 100 packets of blotted cluster stuff. And yeah, even kept this around, thanks God, because today we can use it again, and I'm probably back to 50% or more than 50%. Basically now I only go back to macOS to maintain, test and develop our commercial exact and OCR kits. So I'm back already, as you see all the videos, usually 100% from Linux. And as much as I call out Apple's macOS for peak bugs, and yes, there are really as many as I say, I would not make this up if not each time I try to use macOS some peak bugs smile on me, and it is really as bad. You import something and iMovie clips are gone, it is slow, it is freezing, it is not waking up, it's not connecting to a 4K display every second time, and so on and so on. And yeah, it might be different with other hardware, but with other hardware you have then also other issues. Then maybe the 4K display works, but something else is broken and stuff like this. But one thing is, as much peak bugs macOS had, one thing is the Safari is still relatively snappy. However, even there you see that the web is increasingly, all the websites are so dynamic and reactive with 20 frameworks that everything is so crawling down to a speed of a snail there or something. And massive amounts of resources just with some reduced latency here. This is really fat here, and also especially for most people, the browser has become the extended operating system, which of course is not that bad for us. If we want to establish a new operating system, either Haiku or our own microkernel, we only need a performing browser, which by the way is not small. The problem is I don't even want to write a browser, because the browser, the HTML5 stuff, it's such a convoluted nightmare of clobbered together standards, whatever they came up with, that of course even all the standards already such a mess to implement, and obviously all the JavaScript just in time. And by the way, JavaScript is a horrible language, but that's probably another point for another video. Fact is, I can run a VM with a full OS with less resources than Chrome with 10 tabs open. Yeah, this is really sad, and exactly what. Thanks for sharing this and confirming this. At least I'm not hallucinating and making this stuff up. Next news, speaking about if you want to get a shock and fall from your chair, then this is now a good time for some hydration, because Mozilla wants to bring Python to the browsers. This is probably when I need this famous Star Trek Next Generation facepalm meme here, because what the heck, if we ask for one thing, then it's not Python in the browser. And if you ever wondered how did we ended up in a reality, in a parallel universe where everything is dog slow and the web is with all this ad hoc clobbered together standards where nothing really works and everything is dog slow, then yes, bring Python to the browsers, because that is certainly the answer for, yes, you named it. I hope they don't really put it in there. But why do they even need to make such a technology demo? In my opinion, we have really, yes, JavaScript sucks, but seriously, you don't need to add Python to the game. And there really is a limit of stupidity and tight level of integration that allows users to do the data processing in Python and then send it to Java for a script for visualization. There are probably someone in the audience who will like this, but on top of WebAssembly, JavaScript, JIT, and whatever. As for the performance, the Python interpreter inside the JavaScript virtual machine runs between 1 to 12 times slower in Firefox and up to 16 times slower in Chrome. Yes, what have we asked for? Slower Python for what it's worth. Yep, and this is why we had to start a YouTube channel, because I can't I can't anymore. This is how, I don't understand, how can other IT professionals each day sit at work and accept this as, can we not all, do we need after a Friday for Future, need a Saturday for technology and advancements? I mean, seriously, there must be a limit of throwing everything together. This is, anyway, leave me in the comments what you think about this. I'm speechless. In other news, more amazing hardware news, Intel acquires Omnitek, strengthens FPGA video and vision offerings. And FPGA, of course, probably many of you know. For those who do not know, FPGAs are like processors, just that they are not processed but field programmable gate arrays. What this means is that they, unlike processors that have fixed transistors, they have flexible programmable logic gates. So you, instead of having one fixed function Intel x86 processor, you can program the gates to whatever function you need. And not only do they use this in video capture, things like this proprietary binary only piece of junk here that we also had to call out for that. If you have missed this live stream the other week and month and something. So in solutions like this, but also maybe printers and cars and space shuttles and whatnot, you can find them everywhere, and you can flexible program them and load there whatever custom logic you need there. Even, by the way, the sound card, which, by the way, is the sound card we were hacking on the RME Digi32 that we will still have to finish the ALSA driver debugging for, used this FPGA for implementing the sound hardware, the PCI bus, and connection to the 8-channel ADAT stuff there. So if you have small quantities, it often is cheaper to buy a couple of hundreds or thousands of FPGAs and program them instead of running a custom ASIC. Production certainly, because of course a piece of ASIC is cheap, like on the custom ASICs in the SGA Octane there, but you certainly need to purchase 10 if not 100,000 of those. And if you have low quantities like this 8-channel ADAT card or SGI hardware from back in the day, or this whatever this VGA grabber thing there, then you are usually much better off with an FPGA. And yeah, Intel has, this is not the first company Intel purchased, and you can already, I think there are already Xeons for data centers and machine learning and whatnot, where you actually can use this FPGA to offload your own computation to, as far as I remember at least. And this is certainly super interesting. For example, you could do like on the PS3 that we also have there, and some fans want me to continue probably. Yes, I know. The PS3 has this cell processors which are very custom, like digital signal processor kind of things in a way. And just that this are in this there you can also offload, for example, you could offload MP3 encoding or decoding or special video effects and whatnot, or generating particle systems and all the fun stuff. And with an FPGA you can do something similar, just that on the PS3, for example, the cell is again a fixed function processor similar to a graphic card, your NVIDIA fragment shaders there, things and compute cores, and there you can load whatever. So you could load a tiny Pico RISC CPU in there, you could load your video processing logic gate configuration in there, your bit stream for the FPGA, or you load in there your neural network, artificial intelligence processing there. So yeah, so it's certainly interesting to see what is coming. And you have seen probably and wondered, and the saying is Intel processors have plateaued a little bit in terms of development of processing power there and speed and Moore's law. And this probably also in part because the software becomes more and more bloated, obviously, as discussed here already quite a bit this week. But additionally, this allows flexible acceleration, and certainly a very interesting thing to come there. I wonder, probably in some years' time, all this Intel processors here, like the Atom or whatnot, then in the future might have this FPGA. The Linux kernel, by the way, has already some infrastructure. There is now an FPGA subsystem, and really interesting to see what's coming there. But again, this needs, of course, very specific programming. It's not like you can compile your SED stream editor or Emacs or something, although probably theoretically you could probably write a Lisp accelerator there if you wanted to. Let's see comments in the audience. While I appreciate you don't like JavaScript, it isn't. It's no, I don't like JavaScript for another reason, that it is a completely. Let me check. Do I find this quickly? I could maybe. We have actually audio running. This was, what was this video? There was a really interesting. This was on Felix blog that you. So Felix is, that is blog Fefe, and then let's see, the house search was something like what was the syntax? Something like this probably, and then Java script, and then not TS but Q or S or Q. Let's see, if it wasn't S then it was probably Q. And WebKit to JavaScript. No, this was actually, this is not this. JavaScript. What could this, does it search C++? Okay, maybe not. Anyway, because JavaScript is so super ambiguous, and so the many things are very unintuitive. There usually happens some random stuff that you need to know. For example, adding a number to a string, or adding two strings, or a string repeat. Sometimes the outcome of some of the operations is totally crazy that no sane person would expect. So actually, yes, you can JIT JavaScript, just that JavaScript is an inherently really ugly language. And I didn't say that JavaScript is slow. Like if you JIT JavaScript, it can be quite fast. Just that, like, this is why I like Lua. Lua is so nicely well defined with proper semantics, and JavaScript is so much all over chaos. There was some, there was some video of someone showing on YouTube what could this be? JavaScript video, funny feature something. What here? Maybe this. Yes, it was what this. Why? Maybe something like this. Let's see if it is this one. And by the way, maybe we need desktop audio. And of course, it's not loading because why should it? Doesn't want to load today because 500 Mbit ain't enough for that. Not even sure if it's that here though. Maybe it is though. I mean, why is this not loading? Can you load already? We have internet though. Is it this as, maybe this is what you quoted right now? Yeah, it was some what video. Know that I see this, I remember just that the video is not loading because, maybe this actually could theoretically be Pulse Audio. Maybe this is some Linux audio issue, because why should Linux audio? Anyway, you can watch some video like this. So did we not had, I hope, do we even have audio? We should, yeah, we have audio. Yeah, whatever, Pulse Audio on Linux, should I say more? Anyway, this here is, I have this in the news because I have not reviewed this is not a paid advertisement. Some news site said that this game is really stupid and you can only accelerate or something and you can't steer, and I only wanted to call this out. So it's not a paid advertisement, actually this is some calling them out for, if this is really true, one of the most stupid games of the year. This is the same like Mario Run or something, where you could also only jump in Mario Run. As far as I've not played Mario Run either, because I don't spend any single cent or not interested in wasting my lifetime with stupid games. But then I would enjoy Quake, X-Wing, Monkey Islands. I basically would enjoy everything, including Tetris, more than a game where you can only accelerate or only jump. I only wanted to call out, you know, we have smartphones here and folding phone, and then we have games where you can only press one button. And basically ping pong on an Atari was more thrilling than just pressing the acceleration pedal. Really crazy times, by the way. Maybe it looks amazing. Maybe the news site is wrong, I don't know. But then, yeah, I thought that it's my audio routing, just that I wonder, yeah, I can't fix it now. Anyway, whatever. But although earlier this Firefox played, so whatever is up with this Firefox. Anyway, only wanted to point out the stupid games. If this is really true, not a personal review here, I don't download here something on Xbox Live just for this. But the same thing is Mario Run. If you have not seen this, also not a paid advertisement. As far as I remember, this first smartphone game there from them, you can only press one or touch the screen for jumping. And this is really stupid that I really wonder, I mean, people standing in the subway, this is our generation. I mean, seriously, we have here, we speak about artificial intelligence and conservative politicians tell us that just program some upload filter, it's easy peasy, but then people, the most advanced thing people do with a smartphone is press or touch one button to jump and accelerate, and as if they did not have the space there to make at least arrow navigation keys. Then, I mean, basically, in my opinion, a vintage game on an SNES or a Nintendo 64 is more amazing than pressing one button. I really wonder what is wrong with this generation of people liking this. Anyway, more tech news. We had this live stream 500, no, not 500, 150, but probably in some years 500. 150 failed Google projects, and just adding insult to the injury here, City Google Fiber reaches agreement providing for restoration of infrastructure. And by the way, this is, by the way, if you cheapskate on infrastructure, because they have only micro sliced this here, or what's a micro trenched this here into the walkway or something, as far as I've read. I've not been personally there, but this is as far as I understood here the news. And the cables come out. They have not in this. They don't have. Somewhere I saw a picture where the cable is coming out of the asphalt there, of the walkway there, and so basically all the fiber optic comes out of this micro trenching that they only cut in some like 3 centimeter or something like this. There is even depth or departing servers cut whatever. So much to preparing here amazingly. So they are moving, the payments will be made over 20 months and will cover the cost for removing fiber cables and sealants from the roads. Milling and paving activities were needed, removal of above ground infrastructure, and this is of course really sad. And this is when you trust big companies that do some, and they are even more cheapskate than myself. I mean, not only that we save and pay county on everything, being the biggest Scrooge McDuck, you can even install infrastructure. I mean, how is it in 2019 or 18 or 17 we install fiber optic infrastructure so shitty that it comes out of the walkway again from the sun and weather? And yeah, probably a good example how not to build infrastructure, not to build an airport, and not to save your own infrastructure building, and yeah, whatever. And discontinuing service there in. And by the way, did they not? I mean, in previous times, some inventors like Edison probably or Tesla tested something before rolling it out, or I don't know. Really strange times we live in, that we just randomly try something that is breaking in the first year or second. But yeah, this probably comes when you cheap out on everything and whatever. Anyway, leave me in the comments below what you think about this. Intel says it will exit 5G phone modems just hours after Apple and Qualcomm settle. For those who have missed this, Apple and Qualcomm were fighting quite heavily over their patent dispute. And one thing we of course learn is patent lawsuits are expensive, and the big people always win, the big companies always win. And yeah, this is basically just stupid all over. And I really wonder if Apple played Intel there in this game, although all wealthy big companies don't need to be that here for anyone. But what do you think, how this played out here? Did they just play poker there in their 5G? I really wonder if Apple then told Intel we cancel our order there, or because Apple already had some Intel or plan to use Intel. I forgot. So many changes there. You have it hard to remember who is using what, leaving Apple with only one supplier. So Intel will no longer working on 5G chips, leaving Apple with only one supplier for its iPhones, Qualcomm. And yeah, so really strange. Of course, it can't be a coincidence that just this afternoon they announced this. And then you wonder, with these big companies, they invest so much hundred millions, if not billions there in their smartphone, modem phone business, 5G phones, and then you just quit it just in a snap like this. And another thing is, by the way, 5G, as far as I understand, is so high frequency that it doesn't even go much into the buildings. It's blocked with concrete and windows and doors and whatnot. Today we have already the challenge that 4G reception in huge buildings usually is not the most amazing, and I really wonder how this will be with 5G. You need so much more base stations and even in-building stations, micro stations, something. If you have any insight, leave it in the comments below. I'm not really sure how this will turn out. I've also made this video traveling the cheapest train in Germany. I did not have much connectivity there. Sometimes 4G, sometimes 3G, but often nothing. And this is infrastructure in Germany, in North Germany in 2019. Really sad, in my opinion, that in the forest I would understand it, but on one of the major train lines I would expect connectivity in 2019. So much to the politicians to tell us just make upload filters. And also, by the way, in my opinion, the politicians or the companies and politicians always lobby and speak each other into having 5G for self-driving cars. In my opinion, self-driving cars should not rely on 5G because they need cameras and sensors, they need laser scanners or whatnot. In my opinion, don't really see where they need much 5G except maybe warning each other for traffic jams and optimizing routing. But these politicians in Europe, especially in Germany, in my opinion, I find this really stupid, always talking 5G and self-driving cars. In my opinion, cars need to be self-driving and not be remote driven with 5G. I don't understand quite what this nonsense should be. Welcome Ash, nice to see you around. Over here, household modem routers are starting to integrate 4G modems, so it would assume for 5G better coverage in buildings. Yes, I've seen this. This also exists here. I think not many people have this. What they do here, this Vodafone here is also doing Wi-Fi sharing so that your neighbors, guests can use your shared hotspot. So they have some guest hotspot there unless you opt out, which in my opinion is not the worst idea. I'm personally not really using this much. But train is for a cage, they need to place them to send sites. Okay, this cheap train, they even advertise Wi-Fi, but the in-train Wi-Fi also didn't work the most amazing. But well, I still had with the Windows, there must be some radio frequency going through there, except the rest of the train, and so maybe they can have repeaters, right? But yes, actually the cheapest train, funny enough, the cheapest train, but even in the expenses, I mean, you have seen, so if you watch this video, maybe you want to watch it, it's short and partially fun. Even in the super luxury expensive, previously state-run German railway train, even there they don't have reliable Wi-Fi. People tell me I didn't use them in 10 years because they're just so bloody expensive. I mean, literally, it is cheaper. If I would have my car in Berlin, it would have been cheaper for me to drive this car, filling up the gasoline for, I can even drive multiple times. This is crazy. How can a government and their privatized companies make prices like this? This is ridiculous. We will not reach our climate goals, and the only one thing is they can think about maximizing profits of the public transport. This is ridiculous. And yeah, so even in the luxury but also shitty German railway, it is Wi-Fi is often not working. People told me, friends and family, and actually this cheap train for starting at $9.99 there actually advertises Wi-Fi, just it didn't really work. It worked basically as good as my LTE there, as my 4G, so not very often. Comments in the audience, look, yes, femtocell, couldn't remember, that's the term, and you told yes, problem with femtocells is nice since it's telco that allow the broadband spectrum blocks and needs licensing deals for everyone. And yeah, also this 4G auction are super expensive. I find this also a little bit stupid that the government racks in billions here in licensing for the 4G frequencies, and then everyone complains how expensive 4G is, as if this would not be going together. They can, if they cash in that much money for 4G spectrum licensing, then nobody needs to wonder that the tariffs will be expensive. In other news, Russian parliament adopts internet control bill. And I have to say, so far when I was in Russia, internet still worked, and I sure hope with my SSH tunnel VPN it continues to work. But by the way, I know quite some Russian programmers, and I wonder that they certainly need to continue to use SSH to administrate servers. So I sure hope and pray and keep my fingers crossed that SSH works, but at least the last time it did. And the problem is, of course, you can think about this what you will, but maybe leave a comment in the audience. The problem with this is what I have is also with the bloody, maybe I could have sorted this by the way better and directly sort this into the news with internet licensing payments there and in the beginning of this news stream. But the problem is that with our upload filters in the EU, we can really not, in previous times, the West was, I grew up here in West Germany with the West being the flagship of, flagship for the world of good example, even America starting some wars left and right and CIA interventions, but not to talk about this today. But at least they pretended. And what do we have now? Beside, we don't even need to look to America and their net neutrality. We only need to look to our own incompetent EU politicians that even can't vote right and want upload filters. And how do we want to tell China, look, your internet filtering is really not the most amazing for the development of your citizens and free speech and whatnot. And then with Russia, how does the West want to say, look, this is how you do this in a free society and our whatsoever? We can't do this anymore because we start to copy. I mean, okay, this is not we, this is Russia. But how does the EU want to say, look, this is not a good development for your free speech and democratic development or whatever, if we are better? We are not better anymore with all the internet filtering and secret services spying on each other and intercepting all connections wherever they can. And then this is of course not that I worry that I would do here the most illegal things, that I worry that the GCHQ is reading here, but of course for the development as a whole and the future development for the next 100, if not 500 or 1,000 years, what development is this if we control all the connections? This, by the way, this was a huge difference between West Germany and East Germany with the state secret police listening into everything from phone calls to private communications. And this is what many people forget nowadays. And not that I would have so much to hide. I mean, basically, in the meantime, I live stream here half of the day anyway, but we are not the free Western flagship kind of thing where we can point to other countries and say, look how you treat your prison camp workers there in North Korea or China or maybe Russia, I don't know, is not the most amazing thing there when we adopt the same internet filtering, upload filters and so on. And even in Germany, I don't even need to look to Russia, China or the USA. Even in Germany, the conservative politicians implement new laws to give the police more control to just spy here left and right, as if we would not have a constitution. But this is probably too much for this video. Just a short summary, and Ash agrees that EU Article 13, which by the way in the meantime is also Article 17 or something, is short-sighted in its aim to maintain copyright revenue streams while crippling the future potential of internet expansion. Yeah, I also said the politicians are the first who wonder we need a German, we need a European Silicon Valley, we need a European search engine. Guess what, politicians? We don't have a European search engine because you kill each innovation before it starts with laws regulating each small. Soon you need a license to even fart here after your burger or something. Probably this would be the wet dream of many politicians, and that it will be used to extract large amounts of money from corporations. Yeah, for those who are later to the, I had this news of the German copyright lobby already asking for billions from Google for the license for the last many years, which is of course ridiculous, especially on YouTube. The music industry is already getting a lot of revenue for years already. And by the way, how is this fair use? Other YouTubers also made this. Unfortunately, my $3 $3 a day are not yet affected by this. And usually, by the way, the upload filters, sometimes I upload a video that is completely harmless. It doesn't have background music, it has no music, it has only me talking or doing some IT stuff, and it is upload filtered as not suitable for monetization for whatever reasons, I don't know. They don't either. This is also, how are these companies accountable? They don't even tell there. Google has their one colorful button that is yellow or something, I think some yellow or orange or something, $sign or whatever, not suitable for monetization. Do they tell you why? Do they tell you because you said fuck or read the fucking manual or I don't know what? Usually they don't tell you. And then I always click on the OK dispute button, which by the way is also funny. They say you can only dispute this if you have 1,000 views, and as I don't yet have 100,000 subscribers, some of my videos do not have 1,000 views. I click on it anyway, although they write there the manual review will only be done after 1,000 views, which is also, you have a video and you already lose all your revenue. It is automatically filtered. You don't even know why, for no good reason, and you get 1,000 views, not even any revenue, and only then you can manually have it reviewed. Thanks God. My videos, they usually somehow, I'm by the way not really sure, do they really manually review this? They write their manually review, but it is usually relatively fast-ish, like even for my videos that only have a couple of hundred views, even then they remove this after a couple of hours. But this is hurting especially small creators. Instead of $1, I get nothing, thank you very much. And for no good reason, only because upload filters. And this is also my problem, not only with Google, but in general. Often these websites always disable something and you don't even know why. They don't give you a reason, you can't find out why, and things like this. And what is it, Dave and some people listen to went to the EU Parliament and most had no idea what an algorithm is. Yes, I said already I don't adopt it at all. Yeah, this is what one of those German, I said this in the beginning of the stream, I only repeat it shortly. One of these leaders of this German delegation, one of the most, in my opinion, allegedly, but speaking from his actions, it's probably fair to use to say allegedly or probably obviously not the most smart, and if he is smart then certainly allegedly maybe well paid by lobbyists. Allegedly, I heard, apparently judging from his actions, and this conservative politician even said, yeah, then this company just do some upload filter. You just write some upload filter, yeah. And because there was a discussion about comedy and fair use, and he said, yeah, just write an upload filter to differentiate this. You know what? Quit your job, go to a PC and start writing your upload filter to automatically classify fair use of comedy and parody from other use. Please do so and retire your job because you failed, in my opinion, anyway. And let's see how fast I get sued by them. Anyway, then at least we get more views on YouTube. Microsoft loses control over Windows tiled subdomain. This is from a German news site, which I don't quote here because they did not want me to post their links to my YouTube videos. They removed this for advertisements and I don't give them a shout out. Also, this works two ways. Friends over there in Berlin, in previous times I wrote articles for them, and nowadays you're not allowed to post their links to your YouTube videos showing Microsoft Surfaces breaking touch disease, because this is advertisement. Well done. So not giving them shout out, you have to find it yourself on the original site. And this is what internet came to be in 2019. So Microsoft loses control over the Windows tiled subdomains of this tiled start menu thing of Windows 8 and 10 or something, and they have basically let this, because they retired this feature, they have basically let this subdomain expire or something on Azure or whatnot, and some open source person that actually now personally giving him a shout out, Hanno Böck, I think it's Böck, I think they missed the Ö there, or is it Bock? Anyway, Hanno, whatever, met him on Chaos Computer Congress meetings there in the good old times of Rock Linux and Gentoo. So much to the community shout out, and he has done some interesting security videos in the past there for this news site, and his latest hack is registering this domain that Microsoft had let expire, and so they could show there whatever they want on the tiles. Well done, you had one job. Microsoft, big corporations where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and this is of course exactly what you want in your flagship operating system. some other people showing whatever they want there in the start menu. And just in case you wondered how amazing this stuff works there at Microsoft and how they life choices. Yes, thanks for watching. We are getting to the end. So yeah, you can Google this yourself because I can't, for these reasons, give a more direct link. You probably know how this looks when the start menu tells show something else. Apple is revamping Find My Friends and Find My iPhone, a unified app developing tile-like personal item tracking. And this is really, I wanted to call out, this is the same like this Mario Jump where you have one button. The new generation that really needs Find My key fob and Find My underwear, because apparently this generation needs an app to find each crumb in the house. And this is also a little bit overcomplicating the life in my opinion, although I have here some vintage krimskrams, but stuff like this is mostly for the YouTube videos. If I would not do the YouTube content, I would actually downsize, because even I get a little bit too crowded here. But in my opinion, more normal Joe user people are probably better off downsizing, not buying into all this crumbs. Of course, it is a possibility for Apple probably to theoretically, potentially, if they continue with this, sell this small Bluetooth trackers that you can put on your keychain and pocket knife and everything else you might lose. And this is of course ridiculous in my opinion. Do we really need an app for each? Do we need an app to... This is also why I don't have a smartwatch. I don't need a smartwatch, that another device that notifies me about some bullshit. Then everything, this vibrates, this makes a ding dong. And then the smartwatch tells me to stand up, to walk around in the office and breathe or something. And yeah, spreading here a little bit my 2 cents, really wonder how we are going here in a society where you need an app for everything. Find your key fob, find your light switch. And then, by the way, you don't move anymore, because basically you turn on your light, which by the way I also don't have, also complete bullshit in my opinion. I don't need a smartphone to turn on the light. I rather go to the light switch and switch it on, and then added bonus you get free fitness, and don't need to spend even more money for a fitness studio, because you don't move the whole day, because you have an app for everything. So making a coffee, switching the light on, and so on and so on. But yeah, but again, you see, I migrated away from this Apple stuff. This is, of course, Apple keeping you into their ecosystem, and you probably, if you want to be flexible, this is also my grief with this Apple stuff and app stuff. In previous times, people had it already hard to switch from Windows, and Windows was not as integrated. You only had your legacy apps that you wanted to use. And of course, Apple makes it extremely hard. Apple is now perfecting, locking you into their ecosystem, that you really never get out of there again. You have all your Find Your pocket knife app and all the, not to mention iMessage and FaceTime integration and whatnot. And yes, Dieter, the app, as far as I have seen, heard, and something the Apple Watch will tell you, this fitness stuff. It has this ring stuff where you can complete your fitness ring stuff. So yeah, as far as I know, the Apple Watch is telling you to stand up and breathe. I think if you sit 40 minutes on your PC, do your thing, and then bing bing, don't forget to stand up and breathe. Seriously, as far as I know, at least. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't have an Apple Watch intentionally, and you know, one Apple Watch is already money saved that you can spend on vintage PCs, vintage Voodoo card, or whatever other stuff. Go out for dinner, cinema, or make a holiday, and yeah, stuff like this. And yeah, then what do we have here? Then former, speaking about regulation, no topic about regulation would be complete with former Google CEO Eric Schmidt saying that tech companies can regulate themselves. Yes, we see how well this worked with Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Facebook. Yes, tech companies can regulate themselves. My ass, seriously, what are you even? Why do news sites even still publish it? I mean, is not everyone already laughing at them? I have no word anymore. Former Google CEO in a new interview rejects the notion that Capitol Hill has a role to play in regulating big tech companies, breaking with Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg's recent willingness to work with lawmakers. I mean, of course, Mark Zuckerberg has so much shit there on Facebook that for sure he needs to slime these lawmakers a little bit, but then they call this here breaking risk, but whatever. The problem is, if you write rules, inevitably you fix a solution on a specific solution, but the technology moves so quickly. Yeah, but also if technology moves so quickly, then so what if you have a regulation for some outdated crap, then don't worry. In my opinion, I'm not for over-regulating, but for example, this Article 1317, I'm for some clever laws, but not the stupid laws. And yes, how do you differentiate between clever and stupid laws? Maybe if 100,000 people protest and all the, even experts told us, politicians, you cannot implement upload filters. It is impossible to implement halfway decent automatically working. I mean, point proven by YouTube, right? But I'm actually for simplifying, and not that I come over here as the most over-regulating. No, I'm actually for simplifying, keep it stupid simple. We in Germany and the EU, we have too many stupid laws, but the right laws, some baseline of common sense stuff. And when people step over the boundaries as often as Google and Facebook, maybe then there need to be some consequences. Content audience, I want to regulate myself. Yeah, I agree. I would also vote for the 0% tax. I still wonder, my other video from the other week, do I pay more taxes because we paid withholding taxes, which by the way was wrong. I called 3 times with Google. I hope they now reissue the invoice. Apparently you need to each year, by the way, tech companies, I got a notification to update the tax information, which I went there, it was up to date, and then they deleted it. And then they issue the AdSense revenue here for the few. Thank you very much everyone in the audience using the affiliate links on below the videos. If you need something from Amazon and want to buy something there, of course support your local stores. Not that your inner city is empty soon, but if you anyway go to Amazon, you can use the affiliate links below all of our videos. And the few AdSense our small channel here is generating, they took their, what was it, 25% or something, and called 3 times. And by the way, as I said already, you call there and the people from Amazon tell you, we are not tax advisors, we cannot help you with this. And I ask them if these changes are changed like this and this and this, does it affect this? And they just repeat you like a robot. Why do they even have humans there? Or was it a robot? We are not tax advisors, we cannot tell you. But okay, fine. Anyway, we will see if I get a new check with, by the way, the amazing payment with check, right? Well done, amazing tech. They had Amazon Theater there. Anyway, so much to that. And yeah, how fast tech companies are moving, always state of the art, we see it. And I'm not for super over regulating, but of course also the General Data Protection Act thing there is also because Facebook and Google just captured all the data they could capture. But yeah, safe regulating, right? Everyone is allowed to put electricity wires wherever they want, and people die left and right because they touch open wires and stuff, and so on. And comments on safe regulating works so well with yeah, US to, yeah, highest prices. US, it's disgusting to come to the US. But even in the EU, this roaming, this EU, before the EU said there is not allowed to be roaming fees in the EU, which I find really fair. We want some united Europe there, and then I travel to France and Spain, I need to pay for roaming. I already don't use the internet at home, and people from France and Spain also come to Germany and use internet here, and this is really annoying. And then self-regulating, I fly to Taiwan and Russia and Brazil. I have been, and also the USA, the highest roaming fees, and I find this, by the way, really disgusting. My local provider here in Germany classifies this as World Zone 4, as often the development countries are talked about as third world. In the terms of third world, I find fourth world really disgusting. But if you buy a local SIM, this is of course, there you see self-regulation. The countries where the local telephone fees are the lowest, in Brazil, in Taiwan, in Russia, you pay kupiks in Russia for internet. Do you think I use roaming for a phone call of 3 euros a minute? Of course not. Do you think in Taiwan I use my internet for €6 per megabyte. I'm not completely crazy. Of course, I go there. It was completely cheap. I think for 1 week, gigabyte SIM card in Taiwan for a gigabyte for a week costed, I don't know, less than €10 or something. I wouldn't even get to megabyte for this. I mean, self-regulation. My ass, thank you very much. Canada is truly shocking when it comes to internet and phone. Really, damn. Anyway, if you don't hear from me when I'm in Canada, then the costs are too high there. Anyway, yeah, this is do I enjoy traveling to France and Spain when I can use my internet there? Of course I enjoy it more. Do I avoid business travel or something to France and Spain when I'm already know that I can barely communicate there, and if I use it, I pay €50 for a couple of phone calls and an internet use. Self-regulating. Source code for Iranian cyber espionage tool leaked on Telegram. Just if you ever wondered how cyber espionage tools look, and Rogers is evil, yeah, that now that you say it, maybe there was something. So Shadow Broker leaked that, by the way, not that I've looked at this and not that I would advertise looking into this, but if you're interested, I certainly don't stop you in case you ever wanted to look at cyber espionage, but don't use it against us or probably anyone else. Anyway, if you go there, this is up to you on NO files, something there. And we also probably in Snowden papers or other stuff probably have seen already stuff from the Mossad and the USA, that if you are interested in this probably can Google again if you still find it somewhere. And yeah, lots of stuff leaked. And this is also when not only the Iranian, but by the way, I've seen from some traveling YouTubers some amazing videos from Iran, looked quite amazing there, friendly and whatnot. If you thought they are the most evil people there, maybe you go watch some fellow YouTubers Iran videos there. I've not been there, no idea, but it looked quite friendly and interesting. They are not as evil as the US Secret Service probably wants to picture it there. Anyway, this is exactly why I'm not for Secret Services spying on all of us, because these backdoors, first of all, are also used by other first of all, is the Secret Service always the most good people, the best people, the most lawful? Probably history has shown not. Second of all, backdoors are usually also found by other people. So much too, because of course, truth be told, all of this cyber espionage stuff always 100% or 99% something uses security vulnerabilities, and those need to be fixed. This is why we all as a tech community, of course, nobody wants to advertise using security vulnerabilities for cyber espionage of secret services. So just if you wondered, let the good guys do the good thing. This is not good stuff hacking into your Windows PC, and if the good people from the NSA or GCHQ have a backdoor to your PC or Mac OS, then probably some mafia gangsters and whatnot also find it wherever in the world they might sit, and so the security vulnerability needs to be closed and not sold and used in governmental spyware. Just if you had any questions about this, and this long stream is getting really long already, so it's time to close with our usual environmental message, because Friday for Future, although it is Saturday. And yeah, Planet Ocean plastic problem detailed in 60 years dataset. So this is why this is relevant to our IT, because these are bits in the dataset here of 60 years of stuff for all of you data engineers out there. And by the way, if you look for a career, I heard data engineering stuff is also a pretty hot sought after position. And yeah, plastic entanglements there of fishing, their instruments being towed around in the North Atlantic Ocean have become entangled in plastic objects such as fishing lines increasingly often. So if you wondered how much plastic that is swimming in the ocean we really have, the sad and depressing outlook here today, that's that of our compiled mostly IT news and data engineering stuff. If you wanted some inspiration of what stuff to make a career in, that's it for today. We can stay a moment longer for hydration. Maybe these companies also want to sponsor us, because this is not a paid advertisement, just the random stuff we drink here to stay fresh on this hot spring day here in warming Berlin. I hope some of this news made you learn something and you enjoyed it. Certainly always fun to hang out and chat with you. If there are any questions or even answers, happy to stay around longer. A minute or two. And by the way, speaking as we are already here and we have this open, we can also not only shameless self-promotion. If you want, I probably need to get better at shameless self-promotion, as long as we do not paid advertisements here. If you are looking for, and by the way, this is not loading, thank you very much, but 0 drop frames, why is this not loading? Maybe our browser's overloaded. 3D printing is recyclable material is the way forward. Yeah, first you need to catch it. Do you mean in recyclable 3D printing in recycle? You mean to recycle this. So amazing browser performance, whatever is now with this one. Let's hope my other Firefox doesn't die. As long as we are still, wait a second, what is this Firefox? Oh, this whole window is no, okay, whatever. You see the amazing performance. As an outlook, to say something positive, we can also boot our VM here of Rock Linux from 20 years ago that you have probably maybe seen in an earlier stream on this or the secondary channel. Also, if you want to see more live stuff, you can subscribe to my more random live channel if you want to more random live stuff. And I continued a little bit more here because you probably know that I can't stop with this. I think I used a more password here. So it should not be on screen. Fun stuff here. So if you wanted to see, we can actually, because this failed already, I had a couple of more downloads, just as an outlook, that you see how fast Linux compiled. And then I say also one word, let's rebuild this here, because right now I'm stuck at an X server, X3. I already slightly upgraded this from X3 333 to 336. Because I couldn't find the X3 website, probably crashed and didn't have the files. So let's build this here again from scratch, just that you see how fast this is here as an outlook. And in the meantime, I figured it's not, of course, this GCC. This is, for those who have not followed this video, this is GCC. So this is not only Rock Linux 1.2.0 from 1999 or so, from where T2 has grown up from. And so this is a new build from scratch. This should probably build a couple of things at least. And you see soon in a second fastly scrolling text there. You see how fast. Of course, this is right now running on one core emulated with KVM, like an emulated Pentium there. So it's of course slightly faster than back in the day, but not that fast because we're only using one core. Just that you wondered how fast the stuff was building. And why is this fast? I made a couple of more thoughts here about this because I let this compile a little bit further. And why is this so fast? Of course, first and foremost, this GCC 295, not even 295.2 or 295.3. This is pure good old 295, just what you had a really long time, 2 decades ago. As you see, this compiler invocations there are instant. Maybe even the text scrolling takes most. Actually wonder, although this is text mode should be rather fast because of course text mode only writes 16 bits, 8 bits for the color attributes and 8 bits for the character glyph. Oh, by the way, need to put in my password again, what a fail. Let's see, do we also a benefit of a microkernel? We would see more precisely where the CPU cycles go if this goes to the frame buffer, because here we only see as 23% system. This is the downside of a monolithic kernel. We don't see if this is text scrolling, virtual console text processing. In a microkernel, we would see the Windows server seeing 10%, virtual console like screen or Tmax multiplexer or whatever. So we only see 20% system, whatever that might be. But the point is also GCC is super fast, of course. This is 20 years of making GCC more bloated. One point. Another point is I actually realized that back in the day, the configure script, this is a fun point that I didn't remember from back in the day. The configure scripts are so much shorter nowadays and they are not parallel. Even if you have a 16-thread AMD Ryzen, EPIC or Threadripper, then all the configure stuff is not running any faster on all the other cores because they are just serial written bash shell script there. And when you look at this, you barely see configure running. And when you see configure running, this configure script from 20 years ago, this GNU autoconf stuff, is super short. Instead of nowadays, they run, even on Horizon, they run for maybe 2 minutes, or sometimes maybe even longer, compiling their 100,000 lines of shell script in configure. And even when they are not testing so much, they are still at least 10,000 lines and testing 100 things. And that is also, for example, in exact image, we don't do this. And this is of course really crazy that nowadays so much time you spend on this bloody configure tests that basically all the software, and I also don't program like this. I would not even in my program have so many things. If I test for Apple or something, then I if-def Apple something and maybe make a global header and make there if-def __ Apple or __ iPhone OS whatsoever and stuff like this. Then you already don't need all this 100,000 lines of 2-minute running configure stuff. There's, by the way, configure, and that was it. Oh no, not really, but maybe soon. What is it even? GCC. But you see how fast, okay, it's actually still probably this is GCC then, I guess, or bin utils. This is one of the longer configures, but even this stuff does not rerun, okay, good. But you see, even this stuff did not run long. So it's actually, I thought bash became so super slow, but maybe it also did additionally, but this configure scripts also just were not as 100,000 lines long. This is really, and in 15 minutes, I showed in the other live stream, the documentation said in a couple of hours or a day, Clifford Wolf wrote back in the day, this compiles. And here in 15 minutes on this Core i7, we go here through GCC bin utils and then already have some X3 compiled, just if you ever wondered to know how bloated you see. And then the packages, what is it even GCC? You see just a handful of files. Does software really need to be so more complicated? Does this really add so much of a value? You have seen me compiling CLang and muselibc and LLVM, where actually Musel is the fastest, but LLVM compiles was at 20 minutes and CLang compiles 20 minutes is already, did I say 20? What did I even mean? Did I mean 20? Was it 20 minutes and 20 minutes? Something like this. Either it was 10 or 20, doesn't matter. It is what was quite long, and maybe it was actually 20 minutes. Anyway, probably it was 20 minutes. So yeah, fun stuff here, to vintage stuff if you ever wanted to see this compiling, and you see this was, what was this even? It's scrolling so fast, didn't even see what it was. This is, so this was Kish shell, and there is just the next package, and really curious how this is scrolling. This was file utils, so file utils compiled in, I don't know, 10 seconds. Leave me in the audience what you make out of this. Is modern software complexity really worth it? Have we gained anything of wasting our gained CPU cycles in Intel CPUs or AMD in epic AMD CPUs, in thread ripping, epic thread ripping AMD CPUs, wasting them on modern software? Or was this basically, anyway, would have been fixing bugs and security vulnerabilities? Would this been enough and would have freed our lots of resources innovating in more amazing stuff like speech recognition and artificial intelligence? Tell me what you think about this. I find this a totally interesting data point here. And yeah. Anyway, that is probably a good outro here for this amazing live stream. Slightly wonder how hot it will become this year, because today is already hot here. I hope you learned something, found this interesting. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe, and there are plenty of more videos that we quoted in this video alone that you might be interested in watching, from vintage Linux videos, modern stuff, CLang and QEMU and fun stuff like this. I hope to see you soon, and have a good weekend and seasonal celebrations in case you celebrate any.